The scissors flashed. Snip. A thick lock of Maya Thompson's natural hair fell to the classroom floor. "Sit your nappy-headed self down," Mrs. Patricia Whitmore hissed, fingers still digging into the 16-year-old's scalp. "You people never learn." 23 students froze. Phones appeared under desks. The clock read 9:07 a.m. Maya didn't scream, didn't cry. She stared straight ahead, memorizing everything. The teacher's face, the witnesses, the hair lying dead on linoleum. What Patricia Whitmore didn't know would destroy her entire career. Maya Thompson's father was federal judge Marcus Thompson of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, and he was about to burn everything down. Before we begin, comment below which city you're watching from, and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you absolutely cannot miss. Maya stood in her bathroom at 6:15 a.m., working coconut oil through her natural coils. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. "Your crown is your glory, baby girl. Don't let anyone tell you different." Her phone buzzed. Jasmine texted, "Girl Whitmore's been in a mood all week. Watch yourself." Maya typed back, "When is she not in a mood?" She checked her reflection. Her hair was neat, professional. She had pulled up the Jefferson Academy handbook 3 times last night. Nothing prohibited natural hair. Nothing. But Maya had learned that rules meant nothing to Patricia Whitmore. She grabbed her bag and headed downstairs. Her mother sat at the kitchen table reviewing case files. Denise Thompson had stepped back from active practice, but she still thought like the lawyer she had been for 20 years. "You look beautiful, baby," Denise said. "Your grandmother would be proud." "Thanks, Mom." Maya kissed her mother's cheek and walked out the door. She had no idea that in 3 hours, her entire world would explode. The bus dropped her at Jefferson Academy at 8:47, red brick, white columns, a banner proclaiming excellence through discipline. Maya walked to her locker. 4 minutes until first period. English, room 214. Mrs. Patricia Whitmore. Her stomach knotted. It had been like this since September. Whitmore calling her aggressive for answering questions, moving her seat to the back corner in October. The write-ups starting in November. Disruptive behavior. Attitude problems. Insubordination. Maya had done nothing wrong. But knowing that and proving it were different things. She closed her locker and headed for room 214. The classroom was half full. Maya walked to her assigned seat in the back corner and pulled out her notebook. She didn't look at Whitmore. She just sat down and waited. The bell rang at 9:00. Whitmore stood at the front, chalk in hand. "Good morning, class. Today we'll discuss Chapter 6 of To Kill a Mockingbird. Open your books to—" She stopped. Her eyes locked onto Maya. The room went quiet. "Miss Thompson, stand up." Maya's heart spiked. "Yes, Mrs. Whitmore, I said stand up, now." Maya rose slowly. "Your hair is a violation of school dress code." "Mrs. Whitmore, my hair follows all school guidelines. I checked the handbook. It's unsanitary. It's distracting. It's unprofessional. With respect, the handbook doesn't prohibit." "Don't you dare talk to me about the handbook." Whitmore's face flushed. "You people always want to argue. What about my right to maintain order? I haven't disrupted anything." I was sitting quietly. "Your presence is a disruption." Whitmore moved toward Maya's desk. Marcus Williams, 2 rows over, shifted in his seat. His phone was already in his hand, held low. Whitmore grabbed Maya's arm. The grip was iron. Wrong. Invasive. "Let go of me," Maya said. "You don't give orders here." "Mrs. Whitmore, you're hurting me." "Good. Maybe pain will teach you." Someone whispered, "Holy shit." Tara Smith in the front row had her phone angled toward them. "Mrs. Whitmore, maybe you should." Marcus started. Silence. Whitmore didn't turn around. "All of you." Silence. She dragged Maya out of her seat. Maya stumbled, caught herself on another desk, felt fingers dig deeper into her arm. "Sit your nappy-headed self down," Whitmore hissed. "Before I handle it for you." Gasps erupted. "You people are always testing boundaries," Whitmore continued. "Always pushing. Always demanding special treatment." She yanked Maya's hair back hard enough to make her eyes water. "Mrs. Whitmore, please." Maya's voice cracked. "Please stop." But Whitmore was reaching into her desk drawer. Scissors. Maya's blood turned to ice. "If you won't follow rules willingly, I'll help you comply." Marcus stood up. "Mrs. Whitmore, you can't sit down, Mr. Williams. But she's—" "I said sit down." Marcus sat. His face was gray. But his phone stayed up. Whitmore turned back to Maya. Her eyes were wild now. "You think you're special. You think the rules don't apply to you. I never said that. You didn't have to. Your attitude says it every day." The scissors moved toward Maya's hair. "Please." Maya was crying now. "Please don't do this. Someone should have done it a long time ago." Snipe. The sound was small. Metal against hair. Hair against floor. But to Maya, it was thunder. Snipe. 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 Whitmore wasn't stopping. She grabbed fistfuls and hacked. Random angles, random lengths, throwing the hair to the floor like garbage. "There." She stepped back. "Now you look presentable." Maya stood frozen. Her hands rose to her head. Ragged edges, uneven patches, months of careful growth destroyed. The room was silent. Whitmore straightened her blazer. She walked to the front and picked up her chalk. "Now, page 127. The symbolism of Mrs. Whitmore." Maya's voice cut through the room. Whitmore turned slowly. "Yes, Miss Thompson." Maya bent down. She picked up a handful of her cut hair, cradled it like something precious and broken. "I'm leaving. Excuse me, I'm leaving. And I'm taking this with me. Evidence." Whitmore's face paled. "Evidence of what assault? Battery. A hate crime. In front of 23 witnesses and at least 10 cameras." Maya looked around the room. "You all recorded that, didn't you?" No one answered, but no one denied it. "Good. Don't delete anything. What happened here is going on record." She walked toward the door. "If you leave," Whitmore called, "you will be suspended." Maya paused at the threshold. "My father always says consequences are for everyone, not just the people you think deserve them." She walked out. The hallway stretched before her. Empty. Silent. Normal sounds of a normal school day continuing while her world had just shattered. She made it to the bathroom, locked herself in the last stall, and finally let herself fall apart. The sobs came like a dam breaking. Her body shook. Her hands clutched the cut hair. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on cold tile. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. She pulled it out with trembling fingers. 17 texts. 12 missed calls. "Jasmine. OMG. Maya. Are you okay? It's all over TikTok." Unknown number. "I was in your class. I got video of everything. Mom, baby, call me." Now, I'm seeing things online. Maya opened TikTok. The video had 47,000 views. Caption: "Teacher assaults black student. Watch until the end." She pressed play. There she was. There was Whitmore. The grab. The scissors. The hair falling. Comments flooded in hundreds per minute. "Fire her immediately." "This is racism caught on camera. What school is this?" "That poor girl. I hope she sues." Maya closed the app. Her phone rang. "Mom." She answered. "Mom." "Baby, where are you?" Denise's voice was urgent but controlled. "Tell me exactly where you are." "School bathroom, first floor. Are you hurt physically?" She grabbed me, my arm. And she cut my hair. "I know. I saw the video. I'm on my way. Do not talk to anyone until I get there. Not teachers, not administrators, not police. No one." Yes. If anyone tries to make you talk, say you're exercising your right to remain silent and want your parent present. Those exact words. Right to remain silent. Parent present. Good girl. 15 minutes. The line went dead. Maya sat on the bathroom floor. 15 minutes. She could survive 15 minutes. The intercom crackled Maya Thompson report to the principal's office immediately. She didn't move. Footsteps approached. A knock. Maya. It was Mrs. Patterson, the guidance counselor. Honey, are you in there? I'm exercising my right to remain silent. I want my parent present. Silence. Maya, you're not in trouble. We just need to talk. I want my parent present. Principal Hanson really needs... I want my parent present. Whispered conversation outside. Then footsteps retreating. She had bought herself time. Her phone buzzed. Jasmine video has 200K views. News stations picking it up. 200,000 views. In less than 20 minutes. Across the school, something else was happening. In Principal Gerald Hanson's office, his phone was ringing off the hook. The superintendent, the school board, the district's lawyers, all calling at once. Hanson's secretary burst in. Sir, Channel 5 is on line 1. Channel 11 on line 2. There's a reporter at the front entrance. Tell them no comment. Sir, they're saying the video has 500,000 views now. Hanson's stomach dropped. His phone buzzed with a text from the superintendent FBI just called district office. What the hell is happening over there? FBI Hanson's blood ran cold. Get me Mrs. Whitmore, he said. Now. 60 seconds later, Patricia Whitmore stood in his office. Her hands were shaking. Patricia, what did you do? I was maintaining order. That girl has been defying me for months. She was being aggressive. I felt threatened. Threatened? Hanson's voice cracked. By a 16-year-old sitting at her desk. You don't understand what it's like. These kids today. No respect. No discipline. Someone had to. You cut her hair. Hanson slammed his palm on the desk. You grabbed a student. Called her a racial slur. Cut her hair. On camera. In front of 24 witnesses. I didn't know anyone was recording. Everyone is always recording. Hanson was shouting now. This isn't 1995. Every student has a phone. Whitmore's face crumbled. I was trying to... Do you know who that girl's father is? Whitmore blinked. What? Her father. Do you know who he is? No. Why would I? Federal Judge Marcus Thompson, 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. Her mother is a civil rights attorney who argued cases before the Supreme Court. The color drained from Whitmore's face. I didn't... Nobody told me. Would it have mattered? Hanson asked coldly. Would you have treated her differently if you'd known Whitmore couldn't answer, because they both knew the truth? In the bathroom, Maya heard familiar heels clicking on tile. Baby Maya. It's Mom. I'm here. Maya unlocked the stall. Denise Thompson stood in the doorway. Behind her, Mrs. Patterson hovered. Denise took one look at her daughter. The ragged hair, the tear-streaked face, the defensive curl of her body. Something in Denise's expression went arctic. Who did this, Mrs. Whitmore? English teacher. Room 214. Denise nodded. She turned to Mrs. Patterson. I'm taking my daughter home. If anyone from this school contacts us, they will do so through our attorney. Mrs. Thompson. Principal Hanson wants... Is that clear? Mrs. Patterson wilted. Yes. Denise helped Maya up. She looked at the cut hair in her daughter's hand. Keep that. Every strand. Evidence. They walked out together. Down the hallway. Past staring faces. Past whispers that stopped as they approached. Principal Hanson was waiting at the front entrance. Mrs. Thompson, I must insist we discuss this. There are procedures. Denise stopped. Your teacher assaulted my daughter. She grabbed her. Called her a racial slur. Cut her hair while she begged her to stop. All on video, seen by millions. And you want to discuss procedures? I understand you're upset, but I'm not upset. I'm furious. And I'm a lawyer. So here's what happens. We're leaving. You're going to pray this doesn't get worse. And if you're smart, you'll start writing your resignation. She guided Maya toward the door. This isn't over. Hanson called. The girl was disruptive. Mrs. Whitmore felt threatened. Denise turned back. My husband is Judge Marcus Thompson. I'm sure he'll be very interested in how threatened Mrs. Whitmore felt. They pushed through the doors. Behind them, Hanson felt his world crumbling. He grabbed his phone and dialed the superintendent. We have a problem, he said. A very big problem. What kind of problem? The girl's father is a federal judge. Silence on the line. Then, get Whitmore out of that building. Now. And start deleting those security tapes. Hanson hesitated. Delete them? That's destroying evidence. Do you want to keep your job? Hanson looked at his phone, looked at the reporters gathering outside, looked at the future he had spent 30 years building. I'll handle it, he said. He hung up and called security. Raymond, I need you to do something for me. The hallway cameras from this morning. There was a malfunction. You understand? Raymond Willis. The head of security was quiet for a long moment. A malfunction, he repeated slowly. That's right. I understand, sir. Hanson hung up, relieved. He didn't know that Raymond Willis had already made a copy of everything. The drive home was silent. Denise kept one hand on Maya's knee. Maya stared out the window, cut hair still clutched against her chest. When they got home, Denise led her to the kitchen, made tea with honey and lemon, sat across from her at the table. Tell me everything, Denise said, from the beginning. Maya told her. The months of harassment, the seat changes, the write-ups, the way Whitmore looked at her, and then this morning. By the time she finished, Denise's hands were flat on the table, knuckles white. I should have done more, Denise said. When you first told me, you did make formal complaints, 3 of them, and they did nothing. Denise's jaw tightened. Because they protect their own. The front door opened. Both looked up. Judge Marcus Thompson stood in the doorway, still in his court robes. He had left in the middle of a session. His eyes found Maya first. The hair, the tears, the broken posture. Baby girl, he said softly. Come here. She was in his arms before she knew she moved. His robes smelled like old books and wood polish. I'm sorry, Daddy, she whispered. For what? You have nothing to apologize for. I should have stayed quiet. Not made trouble. No. Marcus pulled back. You did exactly right. You stood up for yourself. And now we're going to make sure she pays. He looked at Denise. How bad? Videos over 2 million views. Every news station calling. School's response, Hanson implied Maya was disruptive, that Whitmore felt threatened. Marcus's eyes went cold. Threatened. That's the story they'll try to tell. Then we make sure the truth is louder. He released Maya gently. I need you to write down everything. Every date, every incident, every word. Your mother will help. What are you going to do? Marcus pulled out his phone. Make some calls. He disappeared into his study. Maya looked at her mother. Who's he calling? Denise pulled a legal pad from her war chest drawer. People who can help. Now start writing. In his study, Marcus scrolled to a name he hadn't dialed in 3 years. Sarah Mitchell, FBI, Civil Rights Division. He pressed call. Marcus Thompson. Sarah's voice held surprise. It's been a while. I need your help. Her tone sharpened. What happened? Marcus told her. The assault, the video, the cover-up attempt. When he finished, Sarah was quiet. A teacher cut your daughter's hair, she said, while calling her a racial slur. On video. Yes. And the school is blaming Maya. Yes. Sarah exhaled. Marcus, there are procedures, jurisdictions. I'm not asking for promises. I'm asking you to look into it. Because I don't think this is isolated. What makes you say that? 18 years. This teacher has been there 18 years. No complaints, no incidents. Someone like this doesn't snap one day. There's a history. You're right. People like this always have a history. Question is whether anyone documented it. That's what I want to find out. Sarah was quiet again. Then I'll make some calls. If this goes where I think it might, it's going to get ugly. I know. Your daughter. Is she okay? Marcus looked through the window at Maya writing Denise sorting documents. She will be, he said. He ended the call. His phone immediately buzzed with texts from colleagues. Saw the news. Anything I can do, Marcus, call me. This might affect your cases. The word was spreading. He set down his phone and stood at the window. They chose the wrong child, he said quietly. By 4:00 p.m. the video had 3 million views. By 5:00 p.m. it was leading every local news station. By 6:00 p.m. national networks had picked it up. CNN, MSNBC, Fox. All running the same footage. The Thompson family sat in their living room watching their life become national news. Turn it off, Maya said finally. Denise clicked the remote. Outside news vans lined the street. Reporters did live shots with the Thompson home in the background. We're going to have to say something, Marcus said. Not tonight, Denise replied. Tonight we rest. Tomorrow we fight. The doorbell rang. Everyone tensed. Marcus checked the security camera. A young woman with a Channel 5 microphone. Judge Thompson. The voice came through the door. Jennifer Walsh, Channel 5 News. Any comment? Marcus looked at his wife, at his daughter. Actually, he said, I do have a comment. Marcus. Denise's voice held warning. The world is watching. If we stay silent, they control the story. He looked at Maya. Are you okay with this? Maya thought about hiding, about waiting, about letting others decide the truth. She thought about Whitmore's face, the scissors, the hair. Yes, do it. Marcus opened the door. The reporter's face lit up. Judge Thompson, we're live. Any comment on Marcus stepped onto the porch. Faced the camera directly. This morning a teacher at Jefferson Academy physically assaulted my daughter. She grabbed her, cut her hair, used racial slurs, all in front of an entire classroom of students. The reporter leaned in. My daughter was then blamed, threatened with suspension. The school attempted to confiscate her phone and destroy evidence. Are you planning legal action? Marcus looked directly into the camera. I am planning to pursue every legal avenue to ensure my daughter receives justice and no other child endures what she did today. And I encourage any other families who have experienced similar treatment at Jefferson Academy to come forward. You are not alone. He stepped back inside. Through the window, he watched the reporter calling her producer, practically vibrating with excitement. More vans arrived. More cameras. More lights. Well, Denise said, I guess we're doing this. Marcus sat beside Maya. You okay, baby girl? Maya watched the growing crowd outside. I'm okay, she said, and meant it. Across town, Patricia Whitmore sat alone in her living room. Her husband wouldn't speak to her. Her phone had stopped ringing. Her union representative had offered nothing. The television showed her face, showed the video, showed Maya's father condemning her to the entire nation. 18 years of service, and one 16-year-old girl was destroying everything. Her phone buzzed. A text from Hanson FBI contacted district. Don't speak to anyone, lawyer up. FBI. Whitmore's hands started shaking. Another text. They're asking about other incidents, other students. They have names. Other students Whitmore thought about all the times before. The students she had pushed. The ones she had written up for attitude problems. the ones who had complained and been ignored. She had always been protected. The principal, the union, the district. They had always covered for her. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a news alert. Breaking: FBI opens civil rights investigation into Jefferson Academy. Multiple former students come forward with similar allegations. Whitmore dropped her phone. Her husband appeared in the doorway. He had a suitcase in his hand. "I'm going to my brother's," he said. "Don't call me." "Richard, please." He walked out. The door closed. Whitmore sat alone in the silence, and finally understood that she had destroyed herself. Back at the Thompson home, Maya was still writing. Every date, every incident, every word Whitmore had ever said to her. The list grew longer with each passing minute. Her father sat across from her reviewing everything she wrote. Her mother organized documentation into folders. A family united, preparing for war. Maya's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I was in Whitmore's class 5 years ago. She did the same thing to me. I never told anyone because I thought no one would believe me. Thank you for being brave." Maya showed it to her parents. Marcus nodded slowly. "This is just the beginning." The phone buzzed again. Another message. Another former student. Then another. Then another. By midnight, Maya had received 47 messages from people Whitmore had targeted over the years. 47. And the investigation hadn't even officially started yet. In his office at the FBI field office, Agent Sarah Mitchell was still at her desk. Files spread before her. Names, dates, incident reports that had been buried, complaints that had been dismissed. A pattern emerging, clear as day. Jefferson Academy hadn't just failed to stop Patricia Whitmore. They had protected her, covered for her, enabled her for nearly 2 decades. And now Sarah Mitchell was going to prove it. She picked up her phone and made one more call. "Get me a warrant," she said. "I want access to Jefferson Academy's complete personnel records. Every complaint, every transfer, every settlement they've ever paid out." "That's going to take time," the voice on the other end said. "Make it fast. This story isn't going away, and neither am I." She hung up. Through her window, she could see the city lights stretching into the distance. Somewhere out there, a 16-year-old girl was trying to sleep after the worst day of her life. Somewhere out there, a teacher was realizing her career was over. And somewhere in between, the wheels of justice were finally starting to turn. Sarah Mitchell smiled grimly. This was going to be one hell of a case. At the Thompson home, Maya finally closed her notebook. Her hand was cramped, her eyes burned, but the documentation was complete. "Get some sleep, baby," Denise said. "Tomorrow's going to be long." Maya nodded. She went upstairs to her bathroom, stood before the mirror. The damage was obvious. Ragged gaps, uneven patches. The crown she had spent years learning to love violated. But something else was there too. In her eyes, in the set of her jaw. Not defeat, not shame. Strength. She touched the damaged hair gently. "They tried to break me," she said quietly. "They failed." She turned off the light. Tomorrow would bring more cameras, more questions, more challenges. But Maya Thompson was ready, because she finally understood what her grandmother had always meant. Her crown wasn't just her hair, it was her spirit, and that no one could ever cut away. The morning after felt like walking through broken glass. Maya woke at 5:47 a.m. to the sound of her phone buzzing. She had silenced it 3 times during the night, but the notifications kept coming. Hundreds of them. Thousands. She reached for the phone with heavy hands. Her inbox had exploded. Messages from strangers, from classmates, from people she had never met in states she had never visited. Some offered support, some offered prayers, some called her things she couldn't repeat. She scrolled past the hate until she found a message that made her stop breathing. From anonymous subject, "You're not the first I was in Whitmore's class in 2019. She did the same thing to my sister. Cut her braids right off her head, called her the same names. The school covered it up, made my parents sign something, paid them to stay quiet. My sister never recovered. She dropped out junior year. Please don't let them silence you too. Maya read it twice, 3 times. Her bedroom door opened. Baby, you're awake. Denise stood in the doorway, already dressed, already in battle mode. Good. We need to talk before your father leaves. What's happening? Denise's face was grim. Everything. Downstairs, the kitchen had transformed into a war room. Papers covered every surface. Marcus sat at the head of the table phone pressed to his ear, voice low and urgent. 2 laptops glowed with open documents. The coffee pot was empty, suggesting it had been drained hours ago. Maya slid into her usual seat. Marcus ended his call and looked at her. The exhaustion in his eyes frightened her more than anything else. How are you feeling, baby girl? I don't know. Maya's voice came out smaller than she intended. Scared. Angry. Tired. All of that is valid. Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. But I need you to be strong today. Things are moving fast. What things? Denise sat down beside them, sliding a tablet across the table. The video hit 10 million views overnight, she said. Every major network is covering it. The hashtag Justice for Maya was trending at #1 for 6 hours. Maya stared at the screen. Her own face looked back at her from a CNN headline. The image showed her walking out of the school, head-high cut hair clutched in her hand. There's more, Marcus said. His voice carried a weight Maya had never heard before. What? The school held a press conference at midnight. They're claiming you were the aggressor, that you threatened Mrs. Whitmore, that she acted in self-defense. Self-defense. Maya's voice cracked. She attacked me. She cut my hair. I know. Marcus squeezed her hand. But that's the story they're telling, and some people are believing it. Denise pulled up another screen. The district released what they're calling evidence. Disciplinary reports, write-ups, records showing a pattern of aggressive behavior. Those are lies. Maya felt her chest tightening. Those write-ups were fake. She made them up to justify targeting me. We know, baby. Denise's voice was gentle but firm. That's why we documented everything. Every fake report, every email, every complaint we filed that they ignored. Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and something in his expression shifted. It's Sarah Mitchell, FBI. She's on her way here. Here, Maya asked. To our house. She wants to interview you. Officially. Marcus held up a hand before Maya could respond. You don't have to agree. It's your choice. But if you're willing, your statement could help build the case. Case. What case? Denise and Marcus exchanged a look. The kind of look parents share when they're about to deliver news that will change everything. The FBI opened a formal civil rights investigation this morning, Marcus said slowly. Not just into what happened to you, into Jefferson Academy itself, into 18 years of complaints that were buried, students who were targeted, families who were paid to stay silent. Maya thought about the email she had read upstairs, the sister who dropped out, the parents who signed something. How many, she asked quietly. How many others? We don't know yet, Denise said. But the number is growing. Sarah says they've received over 60 calls since yesterday. Former students, former teachers, people who knew something was wrong but were too afraid to speak up. Until now, Marcus added, until you gave them the courage to come forward. Maya felt the weight of that settle onto her shoulders. 60 people, 60 stories, 60 reasons why she couldn't stay silent no matter how much she wanted to hide. I'll talk to her, Maya said. I'll tell her everything. Marcus nodded. His eyes glistened, but he didn't let the tears fall. That's my girl. The doorbell rang at exactly 8:30 a.m. Sarah Mitchell was not what Maya expected. She was tall, yes, but there was something about her presence that went beyond physical. An intensity in her eyes. a coiled readiness in the way she moved. She carried a leather briefcase and wore a dark blazer that did nothing to soften her sharp edges. "Judge Thompson," she said, shaking Marcus's hand. "Mrs. Thompson. And you must be Maya." Maya nodded. Sarah's expression softened slightly. "What happened to you took courage to survive. What you're about to do takes even more." "Are you ready?" Maya looked at her parents, at the war room kitchen, at the life that had been turned upside down in less than 24 hours. "I'm ready." They sat at the kitchen table. Sarah placed a small recording device between them. "This interview will be recorded and may be used as evidence in federal proceedings. Do you understand and consent?" "Yes." Sarah pressed the button. "Tell me about Mrs. Whitmore. When did things start?" Maya took a breath. She had told this story before, to her parents, to herself over and over in the dark hours of the night. But this was different. This was official. This would become part of a record that could never be erased. "September," she began. "First day of school. I walked into her classroom and she looked at me like I was something she had stepped in." The words started flowing. Maya told her about the first write-up, about the seat change, about the comments that were always just quiet enough that no one else could hear. About the way Whitmore's eyes followed her, waited for her, searched for any excuse to pounce. She told her about the other students, the ones Whitmore treated differently, the ones with natural hair, with darker skin, with names that weren't white enough for her classroom. She told her about the morning it happened, every detail, the scissors, the sound, the hair falling, the words that would echo in her nightmares forever. When she finished, Sarah was quiet for a long moment. "Maya, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly." "Okay. Before yesterday, did you ever think about hurting Mrs. Whitmore?" "No." "Did you ever threaten her?" "No." "Did you ever give her any reason to believe you were dangerous?" "I sat at my desk." Maya's voice was steady. "I did my homework. I answered questions when called on. I followed every rule in the handbook. And she still hated me. Why do you think that is?" Maya met Sarah's eyes directly. "Because I exist. Because my hair grows the way it grows. Because I wouldn't let her make me feel ashamed of who I am." Sarah nodded slowly. She clicked off the recorder. "That's enough for today." "But Maya, I need you to understand something. This case is bigger than you now. Bigger than Whitmore. We're looking at systematic discrimination going back almost 2 decades, cover-ups at the highest levels of the district, possibly criminal conspiracy. What does that mean? It means people are going to fight back. Hard. They're going to try to discredit you, intimidate you, break you down. Are you prepared for that?" Maya thought about the hate messages, the lies already spreading, the weight that seemed to grow heavier with each passing hour. "I don't have a choice," she said. "If I stay quiet, they win, and then they do it to someone else." Sarah stood. For the first time, something like a smile crossed her face. "Your parents raised you right." She shook hands with Marcus and Denise, then paused at the door. "One more thing. The school's claiming their security footage was corrupted. A technical malfunction. Very convenient. We know," Marcus said. "They're destroying evidence. They're trying to." Sarah's smile turned sharp, but someone beat them to it. "We received an anonymous package this morning. Complete footage from every hallway camera, time-stamped, unedited, everything they tried to erase." Maya felt something spark in her chest. Hope. Who sent it? Sarah shook her head. Anonymous. But whoever they are, they just handed us the case on a silver platter. She walked out. The door closed behind her. Maya turned to her parents. Her heart was pounding, but for the first time since yesterday morning, it wasn't from fear. "Someone helped us," she said. "Someone on the inside." Marcus nodded slowly. "Raymond Willis, head of security. I had a feeling about him." "You know him. I know everyone in that building, baby girl. That's why I knew exactly how corrupt they were, and exactly who might have a conscience." The morning stretched into afternoon. More calls came. More messages. More requests for interviews that Marcus and Denise carefully filtered. At 2:15 p.m., the first counterattack landed. Maya was in the living room trying to eat a sandwich she couldn't taste when her mother's phone rang. Denise answered. Her face went pale. "Say that again," she said. Slowly. She listened for a long moment, then hung up. "Marcus," she called. Her voice was strange, tight. Marcus appeared from his study. "That was Victoria Banks," Denise said. "The civil rights attorney I contacted yesterday. And she's withdrawing." Denise's hands were shaking. Her firm received calls from 3 major clients this morning. They threatened to pull their business if she takes our case. Marcus went very still. "They're pressuring lawyers now. It gets worse." Victoria said she's not the only one. 2 other firms she knows were contacted. Same threat. Someone is making calls. Coordinating. Who? Denise shook her head. She doesn't know, but whoever it is, they have serious connections, serious money. Maya set down her sandwich. Her appetite was gone completely. "So no one will help us." "That's what they want you to think," Marcus said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were burning. "They want you to feel alone, abandoned. They want you to give up. What do? We don't give up." Marcus crossed to the window, looking out at the news vans still camped on their street. "We find lawyers who can't be bought. We build alliances they can't break. And we make so much noise that silence becomes impossible." His phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. His expression shifted. "Well," Marcus said slowly, "that was fast." "What?" "That was Reverend James Morrison. First Baptist Church. He's organizing a community meeting tonight. 500 people have already confirmed. 500. And the NAACP just released a statement. They're calling for a federal investigation, not just into the school, into the entire district." Denise exhaled. "It's starting. It's more than starting." Marcus turned to Maya. "Baby girl, I need you to understand what's happening. You're not just fighting for yourself anymore. You've become a symbol. Every family that was ever silenced, every student that was ever targeted, every parent that was ever told to accept injustice. They're all watching you now." Maya felt the weight of that settle onto her shoulders. "I didn't ask to be a symbol." "I know. But sometimes symbols aren't chosen. They're forged." Marcus knelt in front of her, taking her hands. "What matters is what you do with it. You can carry this weight, or you can let it crush you. That's the only choice that's yours to make." Maya looked at her father, at the strength in his eyes, at the love that had always been her foundation. She thought about the girl in the email, the sister who dropped out, the one who never recovered. She thought about all the others who might come after her, the students who weren't born yet, the ones who would walk into classrooms with natural hair and brown skin and hopes that deserved protection. "I'll carry it," she said. "Whatever it takes." Marcus pulled her into a hug. "That's my girl," he whispered. "That's my brave, beautiful girl." At 4:47 p.m., the second bomb dropped. Marcus was on a call with the NAACP when his email chimed. He glanced at it absently, then froze. "Denise," he said quietly. "Come here." Denise crossed to look at his screen. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God." What? Maya stood. "What is it?" Marcus turned the laptop so she could see. It was a legal document. Official letterhead, filed with the county court less than an hour ago. Whitmore v. Thompson. Complaint for defamation. Intentional infliction of emotional distress and conspiracy. Maya read the words 3 times before they made sense. "She's suing us." Her voice came out as a whisper. "She's suing us." $2 million, Marcus said. His voice was steady, but Maya could see the tension in his jaw. "She's claiming we defamed her, destroyed her reputation, conspired to ruin her career, but she attacked me." Maya felt something cracking inside her chest. She cut my hair. There's video. Everyone saw it. That's not how she's telling it. Denise pulled up another document. According to her complaint, you were the aggressor. She acted in self-defense. And everything that's happened since the videos, the media coverage, the investigation, it's all a coordinated attack orchestrated by us. That's insane. It's not about sanity, Marcus said. It's about strategy. She knows she can't win this lawsuit. But that's not the point. Then what is? To drain us, to exhaust us, to make us spend so much time and money defending ourselves that we can't focus on the real fight. Marcus's hands curled into fists. It's a classic tactic. Bury your opponent in legal fees, make the truth too expensive to tell. Maya felt tears burning behind her eyes. She refused to let them fall. So what do? We fight. Marcus stood. We countersue. We expose every lie in this complaint. We make her regret the day she picked up those scissors. His phone rang. He looked at the screen. Unknown number. He answered anyway. Judge Thompson speaking. Maya watched her father's face. Watched it go from tense to confused to something she had never seen before. Fear. I understand, Marcus said quietly. Yes, I'll tell them. Thank you for the warning. He hung up. Denise's voice was sharp. What is it? That was a friend at the courthouse, Marcus said slowly. Someone I trust. He's heard things. Rumors. What kind of rumors? They're not just coming after us legally. There are people asking questions about Maya, about her school records, her social media, her friends. Maya felt ice spreading through her veins. They're also asking about you, Marcus. About cases you've ruled on. Decisions that made people angry. Looking for anything they can use. Denise stepped closer to her husband. Marcus, what are you saying? I'm saying this goes higher than Whitmore. Higher than the school. Someone with real power wants this to go away, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. The room went silent. Outside the sun was setting. The news vans had multiplied. Shadows stretched long across the lawn. Maya looked at her parents. At the fear they were trying to hide. At the love that held them together. She thought about running. About hiding. About making it all go away. Then she thought about the girl in the email. The sister who never recovered. She thought about the 60 families who had called the FBI. She thought about everyone who was watching, waiting, hoping that someone would finally stand up. I'm not backing down, Maya said. Her voice was quiet, but it didn't waver. I don't care who they are. I don't care how much power they have. They hurt me. They've been hurting people for years. And someone has to stop them. Marcus looked at his daughter. At the steel in her eyes that hadn't been there 2 days ago. You know what this means, he said. If you keep fighting, they'll keep coming. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I know. They might win. That's the truth of it. Sometimes the powerful stay powerful. Sometimes justice doesn't come. I know that too. Then why? Why keep fighting when the odds are this bad? Maya stood. She walked to the window looking out at the cameras, the reporters, the world that was waiting for her answer. Because Grandma always said my crown was my glory. Maya touched the uneven edges of her hair, and Mrs. Whitmore tried to take that from me. She tried to make me feel like nothing, like my hair was wrong. Like I was wrong. She turned to face her parents. But I'm not wrong. My hair isn't wrong. And if I stop fighting now, she wins. They all win. And every girl who looks like me, who wears her hair like me, who walks into a classroom hoping to be seen as equal. They'll know that fighting back doesn't matter. Maya's voice grew stronger. I won't be that lesson. I won't be the story that proves them right. Even if I lose, I'll lose standing up. And maybe that's enough. Maybe showing them we can fight is its own kind of victory. Denise was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. Marcus just nodded, slowly, proudly. Then we fight together, he said, as a family, until the end. The evening deepened. The phones kept ringing. The emails kept coming. The pressure kept building. But in the Thompson home, something had changed. They were no longer waiting for justice. They were going to take it. 3 days after the lawsuit landed, Maya stopped sleeping. She lay awake at 3:12 a.m., staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle around her. Every creak sounded like footsteps. Every car that passed made her heart race. Her phone glowed on the nightstand. She had stopped checking it hours ago, but the notifications kept piling up. 8 from 47 unread messages. Most of them hate. Die, you lying bitch. Hope someone cuts more than your hair next time. Your whole family deserves what's coming. Maya had learned to scroll past the threats without reading them. But they still landed somewhere deep inside her, leaving bruises she couldn't see. A soft knock at her door. Baby Denise's voice was tired. You awake? Yeah. The door opened. Denise crossed to the bed and sat on the edge, reaching for Maya's hand in the darkness. Can't sleep either, Denise said. Your father's been on the phone since midnight. Something's happening. What kind of something I don't know yet. But Sarah Mitchell called twice. The FBI doesn't call at midnight for good news. Maya sat up slowly. Her body ached from days of tension from carrying weight she had never asked for. Mom, she said quietly, do you think we're going to lose? Denise was silent for a long moment. I think the truth is on our side, she finally said. But I won't lie to you. Truth doesn't always win. Sometimes power wins. Sometimes money wins. Sometimes people just get tired. Are you tired? Exhausted. Denise squeezed her hand, but not defeated. There's a difference. Footsteps in the hallway. Marcus appeared in the doorway, phone still in hand, face illuminated by the screen's glow. We need to talk, he said. All of us. Now. They gathered in the kitchen at 3:34 a.m. Marcus spread papers across the table, his movements sharp with barely contained energy. Sarah Mitchell just sent these, he said. The FBI's been tracking communications between the school district and someone else. Someone outside the system. Who? Denise leaned forward. They don't know yet. But the pattern is clear. Every time a complaint was filed against Whitmore, the same phone number received a call within 24 hours. Every settlement. Every cover-up. Every student who was silenced. Someone was coordinating all of it. Maya felt cold spreading through her chest. For how long? 15 years. Marcus's voice was grim. At least 15 years of documented coordination. Maybe longer. Who has that kind of power? Maya asked. Someone who wanted to protect Whitmore specifically, Denise said slowly. Or someone who wanted to protect the system itself. The question is why? Marcus pulled up another document on his laptop. Sarah's team traced the phone number to a burner. Dead end. But they found something else. Financial records. Payments made to families who signed NDAs. Hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. Where did the money come from? A shell company. Registered offshore. But here's the thing. Marcus looked up. The same shell company made donations to the school board, to local politicians, to the superintendent's campaign fund. Maya stared at him. So they're all connected. It's starting to look that way. This isn't just a school covering up bad behavior. This is organized. Systematic. Someone built this machine and they've been running it for years. The weight of that settled over the room. Maya thought about Whitmore, about the hatred in her eyes, about the casual cruelty of someone who had done this before and knew she would be protected. She's not the disease, Maya said quietly. She's just a symptom. Marcus nodded. Exactly. So what do? We follow the money. We find out who's really behind this. And we burn the whole thing down. The sun rose at 6:47 a.m. on a day that would change everything. Maya was in the shower when she heard her mother scream. Not a loud scream, not a horror movie scream. Something worse. a sound of pure primal shock. Maya grabbed a towel and ran. She found her parents in the living room, standing before the television, faces frozen. On the screen, a breaking news banner scrolled, "Jefferson Academy teacher found dead. Apparent suicide." Maya's legs gave out. She caught herself on the doorframe, vision swimming. Patricia Whitmore was dead. The news anchor's voice droned on, but Maya couldn't process the words. Something about a note. Something about the pressure of false accusations. Something about a tragic end to a dedicated educator's career. "They're already spinning it," Denise whispered. "They're making her the victim." Marcus grabbed the remote and turned up the volume. A reporter stood outside Whitmore's home voice grave with practiced solemnity. Colleagues describe Mrs. Whitmore as a devoted teacher who was destroyed by a social media mob, the reporter said. In a note found at the scene, she reportedly wrote that she could no longer endure the harassment and death threats that had consumed her life since the incident at Jefferson Academy. Death threats. Maya's voice came out strangled. "She was the one who attacked me. She was the one who I know." Marcus muted the television. But that's not the story they're going to tell now. Denise sank onto the couch, hand pressed to her mouth. "This changes everything," she said. "A dead teacher. A suicide note blaming the victim. They're going to crucify us." Maya felt something breaking inside her chest. She had wanted justice. She had wanted accountability. She had wanted Whitmore to face consequences for what she had done. She had never wanted this. "I didn't do this," Maya whispered. "I didn't make her know." Marcus crossed to her, gripping her shoulders. "Look at me. This is not your fault. You told the truth. You stood up for yourself. Whatever choices Patricia Whitmore made, they are not on you. But they're going to say, 'I don't care what they say.'" Marcus's voice was fierce. "You did nothing wrong. You hear me? Nothing." Maya's phone exploded with notifications. She looked at the screen and immediately wished she hadn't. "Murderer. You killed her. Hope you're happy now. Your whole family should die." Denise took the phone from her hand. "Don't read those," she said. "Don't give them that power." "But they're right." Maya's voice cracked. "She's dead because of me. She's dead because of choices she made. Choices the school made. Choices the people who protected her made." Denise grabbed Maya's face, forcing their eyes to meet. "You are not responsible for someone else's demons. You understand me?" Before Maya could answer, Marcus's phone rang. Sarah Mitchell. He answered on the first ring. "I saw the news," he said. "What's really happening?" He listened for a long moment. His face went through several expressions. Confusion, suspicion, then something that looked almost like triumph. "You're sure?" he said. "You have confirmation?" Another pause. "We'll be ready." He hung up. Marcus Denise stood. "What is it?" "It wasn't suicide." Maya's heart stopped. "What? Sarah just got preliminary reports from the medical examiner. Off the record. The scene doesn't match. Ligature marks are wrong. Time of death doesn't align with when the note was supposedly written." Denise's hand flew to her mouth. "Someone killed her," Marcus said, "and made it look like suicide." The next 6 hours were chaos. News trucks multiplied outside the Thompson home. Reporters shouted questions at anyone who moved. Social media exploded with accusations, theories, and rage. Maya stayed inside, curtains drawn, watching the world burn. At 11:23 a.m., Sarah Mitchell arrived at the back door. She looked different than before. Harder. More urgent. "We need to move fast," she said, spreading documents across the kitchen table. The suicide staging was sloppy. "Our forensics team found evidence that someone entered Whitmore's home through the back door. They also found this." She held up a photograph. "A partial fingerprint," she said, "on the windowsill. It doesn't match Whitmore. Whose is it? We're running it now. But here's what concerns me." Sarah lowered her voice. Whitmore was about to flip. Maya blinked. "What?" "She contacted us yesterday. Through a lawyer. Said she wanted to talk. Said she had information about who was really behind everything. Names. Documents. Proof. Maya felt the floor tilting beneath her feet. She was going to help us. She was going to save herself. Sarah corrected. There's a difference. But yes, she was ready to give us everything. And then conveniently she died. Marcus leaned forward. You think someone silenced her. I think someone was very afraid of what she might say. Sarah's eyes were cold. And that tells me we're getting close to something they'll kill to protect. The word hung in the air. Kill. Maya had thought this was about a haircut, about racism, about a school that protected bad teachers. Now someone was dead, and whoever did it was still out there. At 2:17 p.m., a bomb exploded, not a literal bomb. Something worse. Maya was in her room when she heard her father's voice, sharp with shock. She ran downstairs. Marcus stood at the television remote, clutched in white-knuckled fingers. On the screen, a press conference was underway. District Superintendent Martha Walsh stood at a podium flanked by lawyers and PR handlers. It is with deep sorrow that I announce my resignation, Walsh said, voice trembling with practiced emotion. The tragic death of Patricia Whitmore has shaken our community to its core. I take full responsibility for the failures that led to this moment. Maya watched stunned. She's resigning. Wait, Marcus said. Watch. Walsh continued. However, I must also speak to the malicious campaign that drove a beloved educator to take her own life. The Thompson family, aided by corrupt federal agents, has pursued a vendetta that resulted in murder. Maya felt the words like physical blows. The evidence will show, Walsh pressed on, that Judge Marcus Thompson used his position to orchestrate a witch hunt, that he conspired with elements within the FBI to destroy innocent lives, that his daughter's claims were fabricated from the beginning. Marcus turned off the television. The silence was deafening. She's blaming us, Maya whispered. For the murder. She's trying to get ahead of something, Marcus said. His voice was eerily calm. She knows the investigation is closing in. This is a desperation play. But people will believe her. Some will, some won't. Marcus turned to face her. What matters is what we can prove. Can we prove she's lying? I don't know yet. But Sarah's team is working on it, and I have a feeling the superintendent just made a very big mistake. What do you mean? When people are desperate, they make errors. They reveal things they shouldn't. They trust people they shouldn't trust. Marcus's eyes gleamed. Martha Walsh just painted a target on her own back, and I intend to make sure she regrets it. By 5:00 p.m., the counterattack began. Sarah Mitchell held her own press conference outside the FBI field office. We have evidence, she announced, that Patricia Whitmore's death was not suicide. We have evidence of a coordinated cover-up spanning 15 years. And we have evidence that connects district officials to criminal conspiracy. She paused, letting the cameras capture every word. I want to be very clear. The Thompson family are victims in this case. Any attempts to blame them for crimes they did not commit will be met with the full force of federal prosecution. Maya watched from home, tears streaming down her face. Someone was finally fighting for them. At 7:34 p.m., the fingerprint match came back. Maya was pushing food around her plate when Marcus's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. His face went white. Marcus Denise reached for him. What is it? Marcus set down the phone very slowly. The fingerprint, he said. From Whitmore's window. They identified it. Whose is it? Gerald Hansen. Principal Gerald Hansen. Maya felt the room spinning. Hansen. The principal. He killed her. We don't have enough to prove that yet, Marcus said carefully. But his fingerprint was at the scene, on the night she died, at a time when he had no reason to be there, unless he was making sure she didn't talk, Denise said. Marcus nodded. Unless that. Maya thought about Hansen, about his nervous eyes, his sweaty handshake. The way he had looked at her in his office like she was a problem to be solved. She had known he was weak. She had known he was corrupt. She hadn't known he was capable of murder. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we wait," Marcus said. "Sarah's team is getting a warrant. By morning, Hansen will be in custody. And then we find out who he's protecting. Because Gerald Hansen didn't build this machine. He's just a cog. And somewhere out there, the real architect is watching, waiting, and probably planning their next move." Maya looked at the darkness pressing against the windows. Somewhere out there, a killer was free. Somewhere out there, powerful people were circling, planning, preparing to strike. And somewhere inside her, the girl who had just wanted to wear her natural hair to school was becoming someone else entirely. Someone who wouldn't stop until the truth was told. No matter what it cost. At 11:58 p.m., Maya's phone buzzed one final time. A text from an unknown number. She almost didn't read it, almost deleted it with all the others. But something made her look. 4 words. "I know who's behind this. Meet me tomorrow. I have proof." Maya stared at the screen. Her heart was pounding. Every instinct told her this was a trap. But every instinct also told her it might be the break they needed. She didn't tell her parents. She didn't call Sarah Mitchell. She just lay in the darkness, phone clutched to her chest, waiting for a dawn that couldn't come fast enough. The game had changed, and Maya Thompson was about to change with it. Maya slipped out of the house at 5:47 a.m. The text had given her an address, a coffee shop downtown, neutral territory, public enough to feel safe, private enough to talk. She left a note on her pillow, just in case. The morning air was cold against her face as she walked to the bus stop. Her heart pounded with each step. Every car that passed made her flinch. Every shadow looked like a threat. This was either the bravest thing she had ever done or the stupidest. Probably both. The bus arrived at 6:12. She sat in the back hood pulled low, watching the city wake up around her. Normal people doing normal things. Going to work. Getting coffee. Living lives that hadn't been torn apart by scissors and secrets. She envied them. The coffee shop was nearly empty when she arrived at 6:38. Maya ordered a tea she wouldn't drink and found a table in the corner. Her back to the wall, eyes on the door. Every nerve in her body was screaming. At exactly 6:45, a woman walked in. She was older, maybe 50. Professional clothes that looked expensive but worn. Hair pulled back tight. Eyes that had seen things they couldn't unsee. She spotted Maya immediately, walked straight to her table, sat down. "You came alone," the woman said. "Good. Who are you?" "My name is Dr. Patricia Coleman. I was the school psychologist at Jefferson Academy for 12 years. Maya's breath caught. Was I resigned 3 years ago? After they made it clear I would either stay silent or lose everything. Silent about what? Everything. Dr. Coleman's voice was barely above a whisper. The targeting. The cover-ups. The system they built to protect predators like Whitmore. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because Patricia is dead. Because Hansen is going to prison. Because the walls are finally coming down." Dr. Coleman leaned forward. "And because I know who built those walls." Maya's heart was racing. Who Dr. Coleman reached into her bag and pulled out a thick manila envelope. "His name is Richard Thornton. He's on the school board. Has been for 22 years. But that's not all he is. What else? He owns the company that supplies the district, textbooks, technology, maintenance contracts. Millions of dollars flow through his hands every year, and he protects anyone who might threaten that flow." Maya stared at the envelope. Why would he care about Whitmore? Because Whitmore knew things. She had been collecting evidence for years. Insurance in case they ever tried to cut her loose. Photos, documents, recordings, everything. Recordings of what? Of conversations. With Hansen, with Walsh, with Thornton himself. Conversations about how to silence families, how to pay off victims, how to make problems disappear. Maya felt sick. And now she's dead. Dr. Coleman nodded slowly. They couldn't let her talk. She knew too much, and once she contacted the FBI, she became a liability they couldn't afford. Maya looked at the envelope again. What's in there? Copies. Not everything Whitmore had, but enough. Financial records, emails, a partial recording from a board meeting where Thornton explicitly discussed paying off a family whose daughter was assaulted by a teacher. Maya's hands were shaking. Not Whitmore number. Another teacher, 6 years ago. The family took $50,000 and signed an NDA. Their daughter transferred to another school. The teacher kept teaching until he retired with full benefits. How many? Maya's voice cracked. How many others? Dr. Coleman's eyes glistened. I counted at least 19. 19 students whose cases were buried. 19 families who were silenced. And those are just the ones I know about. Maya grabbed the envelope. I have to show this to my father. I know. That's why I'm giving it to you. Dr. Coleman stood. But Maya, be careful. Thornton has connections everywhere. Police, politicians, judges. My father is a judge. I know, and that makes him a target too. Dr. Coleman headed for the door, then paused. One more thing. The night Whitmore died, Thornton was seen leaving her neighborhood. 11:43 p.m. I have a witness who saw his car. Why haven't you gone to the FBI? Because I don't trust anyone anymore. But I trust what I saw in your eyes on that video, the way you refused to break. Dr. Coleman's voice softened. You're the only one who might actually see this through. She walked out. Maya sat alone, envelope burning in her hands, the weight of 19 destroyed lives pressing down on her shoulders. She was back home by 8:15. Her parents were frantic. Maya Denise grabbed her the moment she walked through the door. Where were you? We woke up and you were gone. Your note said, I know. I'm sorry. Maya held up the envelope, but I had to go. And I found something. Marcus appeared from the kitchen, phone in hand, face tight with worry. What did you find? Maya set the envelope on the table. Everything. The next hour was the longest of Maya's life. Marcus and Denise spread the documents across the kitchen table, reading in silence, faces growing grimmer with each page. Financial records showing payments to families. Emails coordinating cover-ups. A partial transcript of a recording where Richard Thornton's voice was clearly audible. The family is getting difficult. We need to increase the offer. Make this go away before it reaches the press. Marcus set down the transcript. His hands were shaking. I know Richard Thornton, he said quietly. We've been at the same events, same charity dinners. He donated to my campaign when I ran for the appellate court. Denise looked at him. Marcus, I didn't know. His voice cracked. I swear to God I didn't know. Of course you didn't. Denise reached for his hand. No one did. That's how he wanted it. Maya watched her father struggle with this new reality. The man who believed in justice. The man who had dedicated his life to the law. Discovering that he had shaken hands with a monster. What do we do? Maya asked. Marcus took a deep breath. We call Sarah Mitchell. Right now. At 9:23 a.m., Sarah Mitchell was back in their kitchen. She looked at the documents for exactly 47 seconds before pulling out her phone. I need a warrant for Richard Thornton's arrest. Conspiracy to obstruct justice. Possible accessory to murder. Yes, I'm sure. Get it done. She hung up. This is it, she said. This is what we've been looking for. The connection between the school district and the cover-ups. The money trail. The motivation for silencing Whitmore. What about the murder? Maya asked. Dr. Coleman said he was seen near Whitmore's house that night. We'll need more than an eyewitness. But this gives us enough to bring him in for questioning. And once we have him in custody... Sarah smiled grimly. People like Thornton always think they're the smartest person in the room. They never expect to get caught. Marcus stood by the window staring out at nothing. 22 years, he said. He's been on that school board for 22 years. How many children did he sacrifice to protect his contracts? That's what we're going to find out. Sarah's phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Her face changed. What? Denise asked. What is it? Hansen flipped. Sarah's voice was electric with excitement. He's talking, giving up everything to save himself. What did he say? He confirmed Thornton ordered him to delete the security footage. He confirmed Thornton coordinated the cover-up of your daughter's assault. And... Sarah hesitated. And what he says? Thornton was at Whitmore's house the night she died. Says Thornton called him afterward and told him it was handled. Maya felt the floor tilt beneath her. He confessed to knowing about the murder, not in so many words, but combined with the fingerprint evidence in these documents, we have enough. Enough for what Sarah looked at Maya directly. Enough to arrest Richard Thornton for the murder of Patricia Whitmore. At 11:47 a.m., the world exploded. FBI agents descended on Richard Thornton's office without warning. Cameras captured him being led out in handcuffs, face contorted with fury and disbelief. Maya watched from her living room as the news broke. Prominent school board member arrested in connection with teacher's death. Richard Thornton, a fixture of local education politics for over 2 decades, was taken into custody this morning by federal agents. The screen showed Thornton being pushed into a waiting vehicle. His eyes were wild. His mouth moved, but no sound reached the microphones. Denise reached for Maya's hand. "It's happening," she said. "It's really happening." But Maya couldn't feel triumph. Only exhaustion. Only the weight of everything that had been lost. "Mrs. Whitmore is still dead," she said quietly. "All those students are still hurt. Nothing we do can undo that." "No," Marcus agreed. "But we can make sure it never happens again. That's what justice means. Not erasing the past. Making a better future possible." The television cut to a press conference. Sarah Mitchell stood before a forest of microphones. Today's arrest represents the culmination of a federal investigation into systematic civil rights violations within the Jefferson Academy School District, she announced. "We have evidence of a coordinated conspiracy spanning nearly 2 decades. Multiple additional arrests are expected in the coming days." A reporter shouted a question. "What about the Thompson family? Are they cleared of the accusations made by the superintendent?" Sarah's expression hardened. "The Thompson family are heroes." Maya Thompson had the courage to speak up when speaking up could have destroyed her. Her parents had the strength to fight when fighting seemed impossible. Every accusation made against them was a desperate attempt to silence the truth. Those responsible will be held accountable. Maya felt tears streaming down her face. She hadn't felt like a hero. She had felt scared, overwhelmed, broken in ways she couldn't name. But maybe that's what heroes really were. Not people without fear. People who felt the fear and kept going anyway. The afternoon brought more revelations. At 2:34 p.m., a second school board member was arrested. At 3:15 p.m., the district's legal counsel was taken into custody for obstruction of justice. At 4:47 p.m., Superintendent Martha Walsh surrendered herself to federal agents, her resignation letter becoming her confession. Maya watched each arrest from the same spot on the couch. Her parents sat with her, together, a family that had been tested and refused to break. At 5:23 p.m., her phone buzzed, a text from Jasmine, her first contact since everything began. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you. I was scared. Everyone was scared. But you were brave when the rest of us couldn't be. I hope someday you can forgive me." Maya stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed back, "There's nothing to forgive. Fear is human. What matters is what we do when we find our courage again." She hit send. Some wounds would take time to heal, but healing was possible. She had to believe that. At 6:58 p.m., Sarah Mitchell arrived at their door one final time. She carried a bottle of champagne and a folder of documents. "I thought you should know," she said as she entered. "Thornton's talking. He's trying to cut a deal offering to testify against others in exchange for leniency." "Will you give it to him?" Denise asked. "That's above my pay grade. But whatever happens, the network he built is done. Every connection he had is being investigated. Every favor he called in is being traced. It will take years to sort through all of it. And the other students? Maya asked. The 19 that Dr. Coleman told me about, Sarah's face softened. We've already contacted several families. Some are willing to come forward now that they know they're not alone. Others. Some wounds run too deep. But we're going to make sure every one of them knows that what happened wasn't their fault, and that justice, however late, is finally coming. Maya nodded slowly. What happens to me now? Now Sarah set down the folder. Now you go back to being a 16-year-old girl. You go to school. You see your friends. You live your life. The hard part is over, Maya. The rest is up to you. But the story is yours to tell. Or not tell. However you want. Sarah smiled. You've already changed more lives than you know. Everything else is a bonus. After Sarah left, the Thompson family sat together in the quiet of their home. The television was off. The phones were silent. For the first time in what felt like forever, there was peace. Maya looked at her parents, at the lines on their faces that hadn't been there 2 weeks ago, at the love that had never wavered through everything. Thank you, she said. For what, baby? Denise asked. For believing me. For fighting for me. For never making me feel like I was too much trouble. Marcus reached for her hand. You were never trouble, he said. You were truth. And truth is always worth fighting for. Maya thought about the girl she had been before this started. The girl who just wanted to wear her natural hair to school, who just wanted to be seen as equal. She wasn't that girl anymore. She was something else now. Something stronger. Something forged in fire and shaped by pain. She didn't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe it was both. At 9:15 p.m., Maya stood in her bathroom for the first time since she had stopped avoiding mirrors. She looked at her reflection. Her hair was still uneven, still damaged, still a visible reminder of what had been taken from her. But underneath that, she saw something else. A girl who had faced down a system built to destroy her. A girl who had refused to be silenced. A girl whose crown had been attacked, but never truly broken. Maya reached up and touched the ragged edges of her hair. She remembered her grandmother's voice. Your crown is your glory, baby girl. She remembered her mother's voice. The truth is a weapon they can't take from you. She remembered her father's voice. Justice doesn't erase the past. It makes a better future possible. And she remembered her own voice, the one she had found in the darkness, the one that had grown stronger with every threat, every attack, every attempt to make her small. I survived, she whispered to her reflection. I survived, and I won. The girl in the mirror stared back at her, and for the first time in 2 weeks, Maya Thompson smiled. The story wasn't over. There would be trials, testimonies, long days in courtrooms, and longer nights reliving trauma. But the worst was behind her now. The truth had won, and Maya Thompson was ready to see what came next. At 11:58 p.m., she lay in bed staring at the ceiling she had memorized through countless sleepless nights. But tonight was different. Tonight her phone wasn't buzzing with hate. Tonight her parents weren't whispering urgent conversations in the next room. Tonight, the darkness didn't feel like a threat. Maya closed her eyes, and for the first time since Patricia Whitmore's scissors had changed her life forever, she slept. Deep, dreamless, at peace. 6 months later, Maya Thompson walked into a courtroom for the last time. The trial had consumed her entire spring. Testimony after testimony, document after document. The weight of 19 destroyed lives laid bare for judges and juries to examine. Today was sentencing day. Maya sat in the front row between her parents. Her hair had grown back styled in fresh twists that her mother had done that morning. A crown reclaimed. Richard Thornton stood before the bench, smaller somehow than Maya remembered. 6 months of prison awaiting trial had stripped away his arrogance. His expensive suit hung loose on his frame. His eyes, once cold with power, now darted nervously around the room. Judge Harrison, a woman Marcus had recommended for the case specifically because of her reputation for fairness, looked down at Thornton with undisguised contempt. Richard Thornton, she said, you have been found guilty of conspiracy to violate civil rights, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, and accessory to murder in the first degree. Thornton's lawyer whispered something urgent in his ear. Thornton ignored him. Your crimes span 22 years, Judge Harrison continued. 22 years of protecting predators. 22 years of silencing victims. 22 years of treating children as acceptable casualties in your pursuit of profit and power. Maya felt her mother's hand tighten on hers. The evidence presented in this trial revealed a systematic campaign of terror against vulnerable students. Families were intimidated. Evidence was destroyed. Lives were ruined. And when Patricia Whitmore threatened to expose your crimes, you had her murdered. Thornton's face was gray. I am therefore sentencing you to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The courtroom erupted. Thornton's lawyer shouted objections. Reporters scrambled for their phones. Families of other victims embraced each other weeping. Maya sat perfectly still. Life in prison. It was over. Thornton was led away in handcuffs. As he passed Maya's row, he stopped. Their eyes met. Maya saw hatred there, blame, the desperate fury of a man who had never expected to face consequences. She didn't look away. You lose, she said quietly. Too quietly for anyone else to hear, but loud enough for him. Thornton's face contorted. Then the guards pulled him forward and he was gone. Outside the courthouse, cameras waited. Maya had grown used to them over the past 6 months. The interviews, the magazine covers, the documentary crews who wanted to tell her story. She had said no to most of them. But today, she had something to say. Maya, a reporter called out. How do you feel about the verdict? Maya stepped forward. Her parents flanked her, but they let her take the lead. This was her moment. I feel relieved, Maya said. But not just for myself. For the 19 other students whose cases were buried. For their families who were forced to stay silent. For everyone who ever walked into Jefferson Academy and was made to feel like they didn't belong. What's next for you? Maya smiled slightly. I'm going back to school. A new school. Carter Academy offered me a full scholarship. I'm going to graduate. Go to college. Maybe law school someday. She paused. But first, I'm going to be 16. I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm going to figure out who I am when I'm not fighting for survival. I think I've earned that. The reporters laughed. One more question, someone called. What do you want people to remember about this case? Maya thought about it. She thought about the scissors, the hair falling, the sound that had changed everything. She thought about the threats, the lawsuit, the moment she learned Whitmore was dead. She thought about Dr. Coleman in the coffee shop, about Raymond Willis copying footage in the middle of the night, about every person who had risked something to help her when staying silent would have been easier. I want people to remember that systems can be broken, Maya said finally, that powerful people can be held accountable, that one voice, even a 16-year-old voice, can shake foundations that seemed unshakable. She looked directly into the camera. And I want every child who's ever been told they don't matter to know that they do, that their pain is real, that their truth is worth fighting for, even when the world tells them to be quiet, especially then. Denise put an arm around her daughter's shoulders. We're done here, she said to the reporters. Maya said everything she needs to say. They walked toward their car, past the cameras, past the crowds, past the chapter of their lives that was finally closing. Maya looked back once. The courthouse stood massive and imposing, the same building where her father had argued cases for years. The same building where justice was supposed to live. For a long time, she hadn't believed justice was real. Now she knew better. The drive home was quiet. Marcus kept both hands on the wheel, eyes forward, processing. Denise scrolled through her phone, reading reactions from around the country. Support groups celebrating. politicians issuing statements, legal analysts debating the implications. Maya just watched the city pass by. So much had changed since that morning 6 months ago. The morning she had stood in her bathroom, carefully styling her hair, not knowing it would be the last time for a long while. She was different now, stronger in some ways, wounded in others, changed in ways she was still discovering. "Dad," she said suddenly. "Yes, baby girl. Do you think Mrs. Whitmore ever felt bad about what she did?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "I don't know," he said honestly. Some people convince themselves that their cruelty is justified, that their victims deserve what happens to them. Maybe she believed that until the end. Maybe she had moments of doubt that she buried too deep to feel. Does it matter Maya considered that? I guess not. What she felt doesn't change what she did, doesn't change the harm she caused. That's right. Marcus glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Justice isn't about making people feel remorse. It's about accountability, about making sure they can't hurt anyone else. Maya nodded slowly. She had wanted Whitmore to feel remorse. In those early days, she had imagined confrontations where the teacher would break down, apologize, beg for forgiveness. Now she understood that some people never apologized. Some people went to their graves believing they were right. All you could do was make sure they couldn't hurt anyone else on the way there. That evening, the Thompson family had dinner together. Not in the kitchen war room where they had spent so many nights strategizing. In the dining room with the good china with candles lit with food that Denise had spent hours preparing. A celebration. Maya sat in her usual seat, but everything felt different. The weight was gone. For 6 months, she had carried the case like a stone around her neck. Every testimony, every revelation, every moment when it seemed like the truth might not be enough. Now the stone was gone, and she almost didn't know what to do with the lightness. "I got an email from Carter Academy today," she said. "They want me to speak at their fall assembly, share my story with the students." "What did you say?" Denise asked. "I haven't answered yet." Maya pushed food around her plate. "Part of me wants to move on. Never talk about it again. Just be normal. And the other part? The other part knows that my story might help someone, might make some kid feel less alone, might give them courage they didn't know they had." Marcus set down his fork. "You don't have to decide right now," he said. "You've given enough, more than enough. Whatever you choose will support you." "I know." Maya smiled. "That's the best part of all this. Knowing you're with me no matter what." "Always," Denise said. "From the first day to the last." Maya looked at her parents, at the love that had never wavered, at the strength that had been her foundation when everything else crumbled. "I think I'm going to say yes," she said. "To the speech. To all of it. Because staying silent is what they wanted. And I'm done giving them what they want." Marcus raised his glass. "To Maya," he said. "The bravest person I've ever known." Denise raised hers. "To justice," she added. "Late but finally arrived." Maya raised her glass. "To everyone who helped us get here," she said. Raymond Willis, Dr. Coleman, Sarah Mitchell, all the families who came forward. Everyone who risked something so the truth could win. They clinked glasses, and for the first time in 6 months, the Thompson home felt like home again. Later that night, Maya sat in her room. She had a letter to write. "Dear Jasmine," she began, then stopped. "What did you say to someone who had abandoned you when you needed them most? Who had admitted they were scared? Who had reached out only after the danger had passed?" Maya thought about anger, about holding grudges, about the satisfaction of making people pay for letting her down. Then she thought about carrying more weight, more stones, more burdens that would only drag her deeper. She started again. "Dear Jasmine, I've been thinking about what you said, about being scared, about not being there for me. I was angry at first, really angry. I needed you, and you weren't there. But I've learned something these past 6 months. Anger is heavy. It takes up space that could be used for better things. And I'm tired of carrying weight I don't need to carry. So here's what I want you to know. I forgive you. Not because what happened was okay. Because I choose to move forward. Because our friendship meant something to me. And I don't want to lose it forever over something we can both grow from. If you want to try again, I'm open to that. But I need you to understand that I'm different now. I've been through things that changed me. The Maya you knew is still here, but there's more of her now. Parts that weren't there before. If that's okay with you, then let's talk. Really talk. Not about the case or the trial or any of it. Just about us. About what comes next. I hope you're doing well. Maya. She read it twice, then folded it carefully and set it aside. Some bridges were worth rebuilding. Others were meant to stay burned. The wisdom was in knowing which was which. The next morning, Maya woke to sunlight. She had slept through the night again. No nightmares, no cold sweats, no 3 a.m. terrors. Healing was slow, but it was happening. She got up, showered, and stood before her bathroom mirror. Her hair was different now. Shorter than before, but healthy. Growing back stronger. Like her. She heard her phone buzz on the nightstand. A message from an unknown number. For a moment, her heart seized. The old fear coming back. Then she read it. Maya. This is Dr. Patricia Coleman. I wanted you to know that I watched the sentencing yesterday. I cried. Happy tears. You did what I was too afraid to do for years. Thank you for being braver than me. Thank you for finishing what needed to be finished. I hope you know how many lives you've changed. Maya smiled. She typed back, I couldn't have done it without you. The information you gave me broke the case open. You were brave when it counted. That's all any of us can ask. She hit send. Another message came in, this one from a number she recognized. Sarah Mitchell. Thought you should know. We identified 2 more school districts with similar patterns. The investigation is expanding. What you started isn't just changing Jefferson Academy. It's changing everything. Maya stared at the screen. 2 more districts. How many more students? How many more families? How many more stories that had been buried waiting for someone to dig them up? She thought about the weight of that. The responsibility. Then she thought about what her father had said. Justice doesn't erase the past. It makes a better future possible. She couldn't save everyone, but she could make it easier for the next person who tried. That afternoon, Maya made a decision. She sat at her desk with a blank document open on her laptop. Her fingers hovered over the keys. She had been asked 100 times to tell her story. Magazine articles, podcast interviews, documentary deals worth more money than her family had ever seen. She had said no to all of them. But this was different. This would be her story, in her words, on her terms. No filter, no spin. No one else deciding what mattered and what didn't. Just the truth. She started typing. The scissors flashed. That's how it started. That's how everything I knew about the world ended and something new began. My name is Maya Thompson. I was 16 years old when a teacher grabbed me in front of my entire class, called me a racial slur, and cut my hair off because she didn't think it belonged in her classroom. What happened next changed my life. Not just the assault. Everything after. The cover-up. The lies. The discovery that one cruel teacher was just the visible tip of a massive system designed to silence anyone who threatened the powerful. I'm writing this because I want you to know the truth. All of it. The parts that made me look strong, and the parts that made me feel weak. The victories and the failures. The moments I wanted to give up, and the moments that kept me going. This is my story. And if you've ever been made to feel like you don't matter, like your voice doesn't count, like the system is too big to fight, then this story is for you. Because I'm proof that it's not. Maya wrote for 3 hours straight. She wrote about Whitmore, about Hanson, about Thornton, and all the faceless administrators who had chosen silence over justice. She wrote about her parents, about their unwavering support, about the moments when she saw fear in their eyes and loved them even more for not letting that fear stop them. She wrote about the hate mail, the death threats, the night she almost broke. She wrote about Dr. Coleman and Raymond Willis and every anonymous person who had sent evidence leads, tips that helped build the case. She wrote about standing in the courtroom, about watching Thornton get sentenced to life, about the hollow feeling of victory that came with knowing nothing could undo what had already been done. And she wrote about hope. Hope that somewhere right now a student was sitting in a classroom with a teacher who saw them as human, who celebrated their differences instead of punishing them for it. Hope that her story would reach someone who needed it, would give them strength they didn't know they had. Hope that the world could change. Not all at once, not easily, but slowly, steadily, one voice at a time. She finished at 7:23 p.m. 57 pages. Her entire story beginning to end. She saved the document. Then she closed her laptop and went downstairs. Her parents were in the kitchen making dinner together, laughing about something. Normal sounds of a normal family on a normal evening. Maya watched them from the doorway. These people had given her everything. Their time, their resources, their peace of mind, their willingness to fight a war they hadn't started. Mom, Dad. They turned. I love you, Maya said. I don't say it enough, but I love you, and I'm grateful for everything. Denise crossed the kitchen and pulled her into a hug. We love you too, baby, more than you'll ever know. Marcus joined them, wrapping his arms around both of them. The three of them stood there for a long moment, a family that had been tested and refused to break. Whatever came next, they would face it together. That night, Maya stood at her bedroom window. The street was quiet. No news vans, no reporters, no threats lurking in shadows. Just a normal neighborhood on a normal summer night. She thought about the girl she had been 1 year ago. Before the scissors, before the courtroom, before everything. That girl had wanted to fit in, to be accepted, to move through the world without making waves. This girl was different. This girl had learned that making waves was sometimes necessary. That fitting in wasn't worth sacrificing who you were. That acceptance earned by hiding yourself wasn't acceptance at all. Maya touched the window glass. Her reflection looked back at her. Strong, scarred, unbroken. Grandma, she whispered, I kept my crown, just like you told me. She could almost hear her grandmother's voice, that warm, wise voice that had guided her through childhood. I know, baby girl. I always knew you would. Maya smiled. She turned from the window and climbed into bed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new chances to grow and learn and become whoever she was meant to be. But tonight, she rested. Tonight, she was at peace. And tomorrow, when she woke up, Maya Thompson would be ready to face whatever the world threw at her. Because she had already survived the worst. And she had come out stronger on the other side. Her crown was her glory. Her truth was her weapon. Her voice was her power. And no one would ever take those away from her again. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like to support the channel and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. On the screen, I have picked 2 special stories just for you. Have a wonderful day.